6 o'clock, heading into the 6:30 hour. That's when this all unfolded. I was on air at the time, and that's when we broke in with coverage from the event on the ground. That's when we started to see what was transpiring, and now we can confirm from local law enforcement officials that a shooting occurred at this rally, and former President Donald Trump was injured in this shooting. Now I want to take you through this moment because it was captured on camera, so let me show this to you. I'm going to let this play out, and so you can see for yourself what happened to former President Donald Trump when he was at the podium. As you can see, he's right there. Let me start it from the beginning because, all right, so you can see he grabs his ear, he goes to the ground, and then his Secret Service members quickly get on top of him to cover him, to make sure that he's safe. Many people in the crowd, understandably, very fearful for what may have been happening. We saw people running for their lives in this moment. The Secret Service is about to escort him off. You're about to see that moment. And then you're going to see what Donald Trump does to show that he is okay to his audience. So I'm going to let this just play out for you. We are seeing new information coming in. We have statements also rolling in at this hour from many people because, as you know, if you've been following this at all, former President Donald Trump was expected to announce who his vice president candidate was going to be, and unfortunately he did not get to share that information. But let me continue to let this play out, and so that you can just see what transpired in this moment. You can imagine this is very tense. The Secret Service members are still trying to make sure that he has a perimeter around him. And then here's the moment when former President Donald Trump emerges, and you can see he's still being covered by his Secret Service members. They're doing everything that they can to escort him off of the stage safely. And then there it is, the fist that he puts up to show signs and signals to his audience that he is okay. And he looks, it appears as though he said the word fight. And then this is when he's going to make his way off the stage. And he still has his fist up. And we're told, you know, he got into an ambulance. And I did just speak with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and that moments ago. That's when I had a chance to speak with her, and we got new information. So I'm letting this video play out so I can just bring you some more information. But what we know is that the former president is okay. He is being treated in the hospital, but he was injured, and it's now being called a shooting. And we also know that someone died in this shooting, one of the attendees. We were able to confirm that, and that the shooter was also killed by law enforcement officials that were out there. So I'm going to just come back to me for a moment on camera, just so that we can move through the rest of the information that we have been getting into our newsroom. So once this happened, that's when support for former President Donald Trump also started pouring in. We're going to get to those statements in a moment, but I want to get straight to Marjorie Taylor Greene. As you know, she's one of our Republicans here in Georgia who is a strong supporter of former President Donald Trump. And I'm going to let you hear what she said said to me in an interview not too long ago about what happened.
First and foremost, President Trump is okay. He was taken immediately to the hospital to be checked out. Tragically, one of the innocent people at the rally has been killed. This is just an innocent person, Trump supporter that believed in making America great again, and they have been shot and killed. We do know that the shooter has been killed, and they're working on identifying that person. I don't have any details on who the shooter was.
And so, as you can imagine, she's getting this information from what she says. When I asked her, where are you getting this information from? She said she's getting it from witnesses on the ground and the Trump campaign. And so now I want to let you hear a little bit more from this interview with Marjorie Taylor Greene. She also touched on a number of different aspects of this. She talked about the RNC. We're going to get to that in a moment, but I just still want you to hear more from her.
Thank God for good guys with guns, because they are the ones that took out the shooter who was there to kill President Trump and possibly many other people that support the Make America Great Again agenda. Thank God for good guys with guns.
And then I just want to play one last piece of information that Marjorie Taylor Greene shared with us here at Atlanta News First.
Thank God for good guys with guns, because they are the ones that took out the shooter who was there to kill President Trump and possibly many other people that support the Make America Great Again agenda. Thank God.
And so now I can just talk to you about some of the other things that we discussed in this interview. She told me that last week, her and her colleagues on Capitol Hill were briefed by the Capitol Hill police about security heading into the RNC that is taking place next week. We have our Atlanta News First political reporter, Doug Reardon, heading to the RNC that's going to be this week, and she told me that there was already heightened concerns about security heading into that event. And we know now that people were going through x-rays, a tough security screening process at this Trump rally as well. But as you can see, this is something that is going to be very top of mind for the Republican Party heading into the RNC this week. And so she talked about that, and she wanted to make sure that everyone knew that she still plans on being there for that. And then now, again, I just want to head into some of the responses that we're getting. So that's where we're going to segue into that. Let's start with some of his VP hopefuls that have been immediately weighing in. I think that that's a perfect segue because that's the information we're getting. We did hear from Tim Scott. This is what he said. Let me play this out for you. Let me read it to you. Praying for President Trump and everyone at the rally in Pennsylvania. May God watch over them all. Then we heard from Doug Burgum out of North Dakota. Let me get to his now. He said, please join Catherine and me in praying for President Trump, his family, and everyone attending the rally today in Pennsylvania. And then we want to head over to give you a look at what J.D. Vance tweeted out. He said, everyone join me in praying for our President Trump and everyone at the rally. I hope everything is okay. And now let's head over to show you what Mark Rubio said on his Twitter as well tonight. He said, praying for President Trump and all those attending the rally in Pennsylvania today. And so you can see just everyone is really pouring in support right now for former President Donald Trump. And I just want to read you some more information. I'm going to play this video for you so you can watch it again if you're just tuning in. I want to make sure that you know exactly what we're talking about. Former President Donald Trump was at a rally in Pennsylvania today, in Butler, Pennsylvania, when there was a shooting that occurred, according to law enforcement officials. One of the attendees was shot and killed, and the gunman was also shot and killed by law enforcement officials. This is video from that moment. So now I'm going to just segue into some of the other responses that we're getting into our newsroom in real time. John Ossoff, a U.S. Senator for Georgia, he also weighed in and he released a statement saying, quote, I join all Georgians and Americans in condemning this despicable act of violence and pray former President Trump makes a full recovery. I thank the U.S. Secret Service and law enforcement for their swift response. Political violence is never acceptable and can never be tolerated, end quote. We also just got a statement released by the Biden administration. Quote, he says, I have been briefed on the shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania. I'm grateful to hear that he's safe and doing well. I'm praying for him and his family and for all those who were at the rally as we await further information. Jill and I are grateful to the Secret Service for getting him to safety. There's no place for this kind of violence in America. We must unite as one nation to condemn it, end quote. So those are some of the statements that we have already seen political leaders, of course, the president releasing already. And so we are going to be keeping a very close eye on the other responses that are coming in, and we're going to be keeping a close eye on how former President Donald Trump is doing in the hospital. So this is a developing situation. We're already starting to get more information, but there's still a lot of unknowns at this point in the investigation because it's still preliminary. Each second we're in here, we're getting new information, or we're waiting for new answers to come to light. Some of what we're still waiting on is key to mention here. We're still trying to understand who this suspected shooter was, their name, if this was, we need to know that first and foremost. We also are going to try to learn the victim, who was an attendee. We don't know the identity of that victim either. So those are two names that we have not yet been able to get into our newsroom. So that's the very latest that we have right now on OTT. On our first alert desk, if we get any information that's additional, we'll make sure to share it with you. And make sure that you tune into our newscast at 10 and 11 o'clock. We're going to let you hear more from Marjorie Taylor Greene. And since I'm up here, I can also just talk to you a little bit more about what some of the stuff she was discussing with me in that interview. And we're going to, right now, we're actually going to take a different programming. They're breaking in with some breaking news.